Sports all plays. Hot sports all plays. 365, we're making a plays. You talking the game, get you through the days. We're high in the court, the dime in the lane. Variety, topics, living the same. All presentation, sports information. Hitting the airways, taking the nation. Hot sport all plays, like working your faces. Grace at the field, so tie the laces. Hot sports all plays.
All right, what's up, everyone? It is another nice weekly night. It's Monday night, so we're already past the roughest part of the week. We're past Monday. We're moving forward. We got this. All right, we're going into Tuesday. Right, 4 more days to the weekend. We got to look at this positively. Okay, this is the second night of ASAP After Dark with myself. We got the sports sensei. She's currently cooking right now. That's why we can't see her. She don't want to make y'all hungry while you're watching the show, because you're gonna leave and you're gonna want food, or you're gonna be trying to watch a show while you're driving. We can't be having that. And then, of course, just like the first episode, we have a little bit of a throwback. We have a guest on tonight. It's one of our OGs with us, with Elena and I. We have Jonathan Mathis, the sports judge himself. You can catch him Thursday nights at 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Pacific, if I remember right. And you can catch him. He has his own show where he talks a variety of topics and has a rotating panel of guests on his show. Jonathan, how are you tonight, sir?
Man, I'm doing great, man. It's crazy that the show is called After Dark, but yeah, it's still light here on the West Coast.
I know.
Hey, you know what though? It's perfect for you, right? Because you're on the East Coast, so After Dark makes a lot of sense. It's 10 p.m. over there, past 10 p.m., and it's dark on the East Coast. So I like it. I like the name of the show. I'm feeling this vibe. It's great to be on, Tony, and it's great to be back with you and Alana. That's awesome.
Yeah, I'm gonna have a blast with it. I'm pretty sure the sensei's gonna have a blast. He got to take Freddie to school last week, which we all went to throwback at taking Freddie back to school. Sensei, how are you tonight? How's the cooking going?
I'm doing pretty good. Cooking's going well. I actually just started, so it's early in the game. I'm just cutting some stuff up right now, but I'm happy to be here, guys. I couldn't miss the show for the world. So, I'm saying I had to do a little compromise here, but, we here, we locked in. And shout out to Jonathan hopping on the show. We got the OG crew back.
So, Elena, I got to ask, what's on the menu for dinner tonight?
I'm making some spaghetti, but I'm remixing it a little bit. I'm mixing some the red sauce with some white sauce in there, give it a little bit of a creamier sauce.
Okay.
So, a little fancy, nothing too crazy.
Yeah, hopefully you drench it with a lot of spaghetti sauce. That's the way I like it. I like it when the spaghetti sauce runs off your mouth.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna sauce it up, Jonathan. You already know.
I ain't gonna lie. I usually do like my pasta sauce, and then for a little bit of depth and some added flavor, I'll get like a jar of that pizza sauce, and I'll throw it in there too.
Oh yeah. See, that's kind of how I'm doing it with the white sauce. I'm gonna do the spaghetti sauce and then do the white Alfredo sauce and mix it together.
Yeah,
it's pretty fire. It's pretty fire.
I like it. Well,
there you go.
Speaking of fire, obviously, I think most everybody got to see Game 2 of the finals last night, and it was crazy. Not last night, Saturday night, if I remember right. And it was crazy. The Warriors came out. They reasserted their dominance over the Celtics and completely blew them out by over 20 points. Sensei, I'll start with you. We kind of expected this. We kind of expected the Warriors to make a little bit of a comeback last week when we were talking about it. It was one of those, everybody feels that this Boston team, there's something about them that's going to make it happen. But the big question is can Jason Tatum move to that elite superstar talent? Because it seems like he has the potential, but it's like his confidence just isn't there. And it's like he's missing that next year to hit like Kobe in order for him to be one of those great NBA players of this generation. Do you think now that the Warriors have a game underneath them now, and even Freddie talked about it last week, if they would have had 8 more minutes of that game, we could be seeing a 2-0 lead for the Warriors, but now it's split. What is your take from this game from the Warriors and the Celtics?
Well, like you said, Tony, we discussed it Saturday night. or Friday night, I believe it was. Yeah, it was Friday night. We discussed it Friday night. I felt like the Warriors were going to come out in this game and have a typical Warriors game where they, they dominate from the first half, from the tip to the end, pretty much. And that's what we saw. We pretty much saw complete domination. Steph was being Steph, of course. Draymond was being the pest that Draymond is. Clay hit some shots. Jordan Poole hit some shots. I definitely think they elevated their play with Gary Payton II being back in the rotation for them. That definitely was a positive for them. So I wasn't surprised really with the outcome of the game. I expected that. I think, like I said last episode, is that the Warriors now realize that they have to play a full game against the Celtics. This is not a team that is going to fold or is going to cower because of that first initial blow that the Warriors throw at them. Like most teams. When the Warriors play most teams and Steph comes out and he hits 6 threes in a row, that's pretty much the game. Like, what I'm saying? The Warriors go up 20, games pretty much over, they kind of can coast. You can't do that against the Celtics team because their defense won't allow you to, because their defense is always going to keep them in games. And, they can also shoot the ball. So if they start to get hot, then they can make it a game. And I think the Warriors realize that. And like I said, I didn't expect them to go down 2-0, especially not in the Chase Center. But it's going to yet to be seen when Boston goes home exactly how, the Warriors are going to play there as well, because, obviously the Celtics are be at home. They'll get more favorable calls for one. And for two, I think Jason Tatum will probably play will play better because that crowd's going to be rocking. That crowd's going to elevate his play. So I think, he'll finally have that bounce back game that we're kind of expecting him to have. I think right now, because he's seeing so many different coverages from the Warriors that he probably hasn't seen throughout these playoffs, because the Warriors are such a veteran savvy team. I think him and Ime will probably sit down and, really discuss different ways that he can be effective, because there's still spots in the game that he could be effective. He just has to figure out a way to pick those spots. And I just don't think he's figured that out just yet. But I think in this game 3, Ime will scheme up some stuff for him to get him going, and then he can kind of take it over from there. But I think we got a series. With it being 1-1 right now, I think we got a series. I think it'll probably go back to Oakland tied 2-2, and then from there we'll see what happens.
Yeah, Jonathan, what's your take? Because I'll be honest, I was also surprised that. I mean, we knew Steph was going to cook. That's a pretty much an automatic given. But the fact that Clay hasn't really seemed like himself the last few games, and Coach Kerr kept him out there for really garbage time, and a lot of people are like, well, why would he do that? Clay wants to be out there and play well. What better time to let Clay kind of shake off maybe a little bit of the rust, or maybe a little bit of the funk that he's in at the current moment, and let him potentially gain his confidence back. Do you kind of feel the same way? And what's your take of the game so far?
Yeah. Well, you're running the risk with him being on the floor in garbage time, of course. Absolutely. But you want him to regain that confidence. You want him to, regain that swagger and find himself again, especially with this series now shifting back to Boston. It won't be easy in Boston. I think they'll take a game in Boston, but it won't be easy. It will be very challenging for them. So I like the fact that Kerr left him out there, let him play. Even though it was garbage time, just let him play so he can reassert himself and get that confidence back. But hey, it takes a total team effort at the end of the day. And the Warriors, they roared back. They responded when they needed to, and they got the win that they needed. They knew that their backs were against the wall, that they were in a world of trouble had they not pulled it out in game 2. Game 2 was a must win for them. This series going back to Boston. Steph Curry, he was on fire last night. This is a guy who can create off the pick and roll. We saw that. We saw how he was exploiting mismatches. He definitely was able to read, Boston's defense. I think in game 1, he had to get more of a feel for Boston and their defense and what they had to offer. And that was the difference in this game. And then he was solid on dribble penetration as well, working his way through traffic, getting his shots, picking his spots. Steph Curry is definitely the engine to that offense. Without him, you're not going to have much luck. The Warriors need him. He's he's their foundation. And then I think another difference for the Warriors last night was the fact that they had Gary Payton the second back. Look, Gary Payton knife out there, right? He was guarding Jason Tatum. He was switched to Jaylen Brown. He was doing his work on those guys last night. We all know he's very switchable, right? You can pretty much give him the toughest assignment, and he's gonna do his best to force guys into difficult shots and force players to make turnovers. And that's another thing we saw last night, right? Boston gave up the ball too many times. They were too careless. They didn't take care of the basketball, and the Warriors were able to get out in transition, and Boston wasn't able to get back, and they couldn't, defend the Warriors well in transition. We saw that too. The Warriors had some uncontested shots that they were able to knock down against Boston last night. But Boston is a very good defensive team. We all know that. Hey, we all know that about Boston, right? They're a very good defensive team. Another thing that hurt Boston too is that their role players didn't really step up. Their role players didn't really perform like they did in game one. I think Al Horford missed 3 threes in the game, and he made 6 in game one. And then, Marcus Smart was missing shots. He missed some big threes too. Those guys are going to have to knock down shots. Jason Tatum can't, carry the heavy load by himself. I mean, that's a heavy burden on his shoulder. And much is expected of him because he is a star player. But they're going to have to close out quarters. They're going to play a lot better, particularly in the second half of the game. That's what the Warriors did. They showed up in the second half. The Warriors outscored them, I believe, 35-14 in that third quarter. So the Warriors had a massive third quarter, and that was the difference in the game. And the Warriors, they're a team that can go on this offensive explosion, right? And just take you out of your game. And that's what they did against Boston last night. But I wouldn't be surprised if Boston wins game 3. Here's why. Because Udoka is great at making adjustments. He's learned from one of the best. Remember, he came from the Greg Popovich coaching tree. So I'm sure he's going to make the proper adjustments necessary for his team to get back in this series and make things interesting in game 3.
Yeah, I definitely agree. And I want to take a second. Welcome back to LDZ. We have not seen, well, I haven't seen her in months. I know she's had a lot going on in life. I've had a lot going on in life. I don't know if you could tell, LDZ, I don't look 14 anymore. I got to go.
I know. You look like a grown man. Look at that.
I know.
And there's no small rats running around. You got a whole basement.
Oh, no, there is.
I had to come on camera to say hi to LDZ. I haven't seen LDZ in like a month of Sundays. Hey, girl.
It's like, for one, I'm in Facebook jail. So let's start. Shout out to Pride, because it was on Pride's post that I got on Facebook jail. I've been in Facebook jail for almost 30 days, but yeah, it was that post. I think me and Mike commented on it. It was game 5 of the Heat Boston series, and he basically made some post basically saying it was game, and then that's when Heat came back in like the last 45 seconds and won. So I was like, dude, you jinxed them. They better not lose this series, or I'm about to come over there and fight you. Boom, 30 days.
Wow. So they saw it as a threat. Facebook did.
Yeah.
I'm insinuating violence. Yeah. Like, I got in jail because of Mike the first time. Like, I was talking to Mike, a conversation. Now it's Pride. Like, I'm just going to go through the whole ASAP family of who I can comment and they don't like, and they just throw me in Facebook jail.
Well, the good news is you got to do a lot in order to do that with me, because I got thick.
I didn't even do nothing. Like, it boomed. Like, he didn't even see it because I sent it to him. He's like, yo, Pride was like, I didn't even see that. And I'm like, I'm pretty sure they took it down like right when I hit send.
Probably. Right, because they have people that investigate that stuff and pay close attention to what people.
And once you're on their radar, you're screwed.
Yeah,
like that's like the other thing.
Like they'll see certain words that you type and post.
Yeah.
So, LBZ, what about you? What's your take after this game 2 of the NBA Finals, where the Warriors basically made a stand coming back? Clay doesn't exactly look like Clay. I didn't get a chance to mention this, but Draymond Draymond's just being Draymond. A lot of people say that it should have been a technical foul, and it's like, if you notice, refs are a little bit more lenient in the playoffs and in the finals than they are during the regular season. Because you think about it, if you make a bad call in the finals as a ref, that's probably going to be your job, and you're never going to get to live that down if you make a mistake. So they're like, I'm going to let him play, hands off, you do what you need to do. We've seen Jason Tatum again. I think his confidence is a little shaken. Joe kind of brought it up. He was first team All NBA. He has to shoulder. And yes, we got Obeezy out of retirement for a little bit.
Yes.
We got the back for a hot minute.
Like when I saw the message, I already know it was about to go down. I'm like, hold on, I was about to get in bed. I'm not even gonna lie to you. I was about to be a grown ass woman in these sheets, but I came out. I saw the message. I was like, I ain't doing shit.
I know I appreciate it, but man, what's
okay, what's up? But how I feel about this, because everybody, if you know me, from St. Louis, born and raised, so I'm going for Jason Tatum. Like I am, even though I don't know if they have a real chance, but I am team Tatum, like this team. And that first game, 12 points, horrible shooting, but like what you said, Jonathan, it was like his role player stepped up. Everybody that he needed to step up, stepped up. But what was for the Golden State, it was only Steph. It was really only Steph. Like it was like, if you can let Steph score 50,000 points and no one else is scoring, you're going to win the game. And then I think they forgot, like how you stated that Boston is definitely, those change on the fly. One thing they don't have, Jason, I love you, but where's your defense? Like I need, you don't play any defense. And like I said, game one, you did a great, awesome comeback. You played a little bit of defense, but your role players were there. Your role players did everything for you. Game two, when I start seeing, I call them triplets, which is, Poole, Clay, and Steph, the triplets. When I started seeing Poole hitting shit, like random stuff, and it was just like, oh, okay, I knew the game was over. Like, because like you said, none of the role players, and that's what's going to hurt Boston. Just like that's what hurt Dallas Mavericks. You have Luka, and then it's role players sometimes. There's some-timers is what I call them. And that is what's going on with Boston. You shut down Jason, or you can let Jason go off like he did yesterday. Jason went completely off game two, but no one else went off game two. So it's like, okay, you can let him score and, and then shut everybody else down, or shut him down and maybe shut down Brown. Horford, you don't know which Horford you're going to get. Are you going to get that Horford from the last series? Because that last series, Horford, he hasn't been here in forever. Let's just throw it out there. That Horford that was against that Miami series over there looking like he was 22 again and doing all these, double. Oh, okay, he was looking all great. And then where is he now?
Yeah.
But I agree with you guys. But I agree with you both. Like, I really want Boston to win, but I just don't see it happening.
Yeah. So we'll go around real quick. LDZ, it sounds like you. So who do you have winning game 3? Do you think the Warriors now?
I think no. I'm gonna go with Boston. I think they're gonna make this a 7-game. They're not gonna, I think it's gonna be a 7-game series. It's gonna go back and forth. And that's literally if now it can change. If Boston's, like I said, Boston is deep. Boston is deeper than people realize. And if they can get their role players just to do something, a free throw, defense, a steal, something. Because Jason's not playing defense. If you expect Jason to play defense, then you might as well just go home. And you might as well just give them the belt. Because Jason doesn't play defense and will not play defense He's never played defense. He did not play defense at Duke. No. So
Well, he played defense in that Brooklyn series because he
yeah,
played good defense in that Brooklyn series.
Here and there, but not consistently.
not like you would. You know what I'm saying? If you expect, that's not defense. What I think of defense. That's it's a hit or miss.
Well, and plus, how much defense would you really have to play against a Nets team that really underperformed?
I mean, you got to guard KD. That's defense in itself. He had to guard.
Yeah.
KD.
It is, but again, KD's kind of in the same situation as Jason. It's like, okay, he's really the only person that's doing anything.
Yeah.
So, and the Nets as a whole, we saw they were imploding, especially because they got rid of Harden and you didn't have Kyrie.
Right, and when you look at the Nets, all they were doing was giving the ball to Kevin Durant and telling him to go to work. That's all they were really doing.
And you get tired. Right. You get tired of being an offensive player, and you got to be the defensive player too. No.
Yeah. So, Sensei, I'll go to you. Who do you have winning game 3?
I'm gonna go Boston. I think Boston will bounce back. Like I said, I think because the finals is games of adjustments. Mm-hmm. So I think that Boston's gonna make adjustments. Like I think it was maybe Jonathan that mentioned that Ime is a Greg Popovich student. So
Mike is like send him.
And then Jonathan, what about you, brother? Who do you have winning game 3?
I couldn't agree more with the ladies. I think Boston will win game 3. I think they will make the adjustments that they need to make to get back into this series. I don't think they're going to lose at home. They'll be in front of their home crowd. The crowd will be ramped up, fired up, and I think that will help elevate their play on the floor. I think the role players will show up. We all know Udoka is a coach who shows tough love. He's a coach who, gets on his players when they play poorly. So I expect a better effort from this team in game 3. And I think this is a long series. I think the series has game 7 written all over it.
Yeah. So I think I'm going to be the only person in the crowd. I'm going to give game 3 to the Warriors.
And I'm going with the Warriors just because I've been down this road before.
I say that because the Celtics have lost 4 games at home between these last 2 series. And I think that's probably what is the most surprising is that, I'm not saying that you always have home court advantage whenever you're there, but it's very, very rare that you're ever going to lose multiple home games. And again, this is a Warriors team. They're just now bouncing back. I think it'll take Boston at least one more game to kind of get their footing back underneath them. They'll probably win game 4 in Boston, and then that'll continue to carry us on at least until game 6. So I could see the Warriors kind of doing like what Boston has done, at least split the series at home, and then it's just going to be a back and forth on who finishes.
Here's a question for you all. Do you guys think that Boston will consider double teaming Steph Curry since Klay Thompson is not shooting the ball well?
No. I don't think so, because about the time you do, that's when Klay's going to say, okay, don't disrespect me like that.
That's going to happen. The one person they may double is either Draymond or Poole. They're not going to do Steph.
You don't double Draymond, though.
You're not going to double Draymond.
Wait.
You can almost disrespect that shot.
Never mind. Take it back.
What's up, Mike? Oh, this is old Daniel. Hey, this is the old school Daniel.
Yo, no one.
Is this Throwback Thursday? Like, what
no one run that tape back. No one run this tape back.
Yo, I got the message. I ran.
Throwback Monday.
Yo, I saw the message. Hey, are you busy? I already knew. Like when Tony used to be, I already knew. I was like, Mike's gonna see this.
When Tony calls, you show up. When Tony calls, you show up.
Well, Donna
I'm just saying, no one else called. Like I BS you not. No one else has called me and said, "Hey, come here." I would have came.
Yeah,
no one. I can. My messages are dry. Freddie checks on me, Freddie, but he, like I said, no one says, "Hey, you want to come do this show?" I'll come do it. My show's on a pause right now, so
I check on you.
Yeah, you do, but I'm on chill mode. Like I said, I haven't done nothing. I haven't done podcasting since. It's been about a month now.
Hell
Since
yeah,
I've done a show.
that's the way to do it.
All right, so we're gonna move into the next topic real quick because this is one of those. I feel like I don't know. So it was announced earlier that Bill Belichick has decided to name his offensive coordinator this season, and his offensive coordinator is Matt Patricia, his prior defensive coordinator. Like that was announced this morning. I don't know what is happening to Bill. This is kind of like one of these, like, you know, that person that you love that kind of starts to show the early signs of like Alzheimer's and dementia, and they start to fail and they start doing weird stuff, and you're like, what are you doing, man? Like we need to have a talk. I feel like that's what Bill's doing because you're saying, you know what, man, Matt, you're gonna run my offense. Like,
I'm looking for Ashton Kutcher because this has to be a prank. Like this has to be.
I wish I was getting.
This has to be a prank. Like you already went down this road.
I think he really hired him.
Yeah. Oh, I knew he hired, but bro, like this can't
become
be
work
right.
part of his staff.
They call me
This
Ashton
was
Kutcher.
announced by Colin Cowherd this morning, and he covered it. He's like, "Why is Matt Patricia the offensive coordinator?"
He was
for the
very
Patriots?
surprised by it. I saw that.
Yeah, so
I think most people are flabbergasted by this one.
Tony looks so good today.
so do you, buddy. So do you.
Thanks, man.
So
It's the lighting.
I'll start with Mike. Mike, how do you feel? Do you think this is New England's just like dark path? Like this is going to be the end of the dynasty because Bill's making crazy choices?
I have a question before I give my answer. Since LaDonna's here, and Jonathan's here, and Sensei's here, and you're here, Tony. Can I say what I want to say like I used to? Do I have to continue? Do I have to continue this road?
I can't stop you. I
We're
can't stop you. So
We're
this
on
on
live
me.
TV, buddy. So say
Gotta
just
be careful, man.
Just
Gotta
be careful.
Well, it's an interesting conversation, and there's a lot of words you could use. But Matt Nagy is the word I'll choose to use, and that's just how I'll sum it up. And it's a Matt Nagy-esque move. It doesn't make any sense in the world, but that's exactly why it might make sense, because I feel like they understand that in Detroit. They did the same thing in Detroit, and they have that same conversation of we're just going to run the ball and we're going to see what happens from there. They really don't have weapons offensively, so I feel like Matt kind of has an understanding of what to do in scenarios like that. But I can't really give you an answer, Tone. I don't know. But it's Billy. Billy B knows what he's doing, I guess. So we'll see what happens. He might make everybody look stupid, but it might work. It could work. It might probably not. But Billy B.
It's one of those. As much grief as I give Alabama quarterbacks, I'm going to say this legitimately. I now feel more bad for Mac Jones as a quarterback than I do for Tua. And that's purely because Matt Patricia is now his offensive coordinator. That's what I feel the most for.
I don't
feel bad about.
But it's one of those things where it's like I don't
But it
want
would have been between him and Judge. That's the sad part.
Yeah, so it's like I get it. It's at least one head coach who was somewhat respectable. I liked Matt Patricia. I thought he was cool. Easy.
He was amazing in Detroit.
Yeah, he did solid. He did solid for what he had in Detroit. There wasn't a lot going on. Now I love Detroit. I forget his name, but the head coach of Detroit is my best friend. I wish he was my head coach.
Dan Campbell.
Yeah, Dan Campbell's the shit. Oops, sorry.
I think
I said a couple of this.
I think what kind of gets me though is the fact that Detroit went from Jim Caldwell, where you were 9-7, you were competing, to Matt Patricia. Like,
yeah, it's that conversation of like, if it would have worked though.
That was a major downgrade.
You know what I mean? Like, and that's the thing. And that was the same thing with the Chicago Bears too. You could have had Bruce Arians, but you went the Andy Reid type route because you thought you were going to get Andy Reid 2.0. And we're just going to stop there because we're on TV, and I'm not going to get into what happened after that. But it happened. It happened, and it's over. It's done.
What about you, Jonathan? What's your take on the new offensive genius that is?
When I heard about this story, I was very surprised. It's hard to wrap your head around this one. Like I don't know what else to really say. I mean, it doesn't make any sense because this is a defensive minded coach.
Yes, sir.
Not an offensive minded coach. And if you want someone to come in and develop a quarterback and help with his growth and the process and everything, this is not the right guy to hire. I don't know if Bill Belichick and Matt Patricia are that close, as far as a friendship or whatever it is. But sometimes you don't mix, business with pleasure. And that's what this seems like. That's what this seems like. It's mixing business with pleasure. It's a bit of a conflict of interest. If you ask me, I don't think this man can build an explosive, high passing offense. But I'm hearing this, guys, and I heard this earlier, which I thought was interesting. He's going to be an assistant head coach for Bill Belichick, which means he'll have more say in the front office and player personnel. That's what I'm hearing. So they're saying that he doesn't really actually have a physical role with the team as part of the team's coaching staff. From what I heard.
Yeah, I just read it. He's like a senior.
Yeah, he got some extra job
creative.
title.
I'll find it. It's some creative title they gave him.
They just created a job title for him. So basically, Bill Belichick has been nice enough to give him a job, and now people are calling, Matt Patricia his pet. And, I'm hearing all this stuff. I'm seeing memes and, look, this is a disaster waiting to happen, okay? You get a real GM. You get a more qualified offensive coordinator if you want to, if you want to make your team better, and if you're serious about winning, you would do that, right? You would actually hire someone who's worthy of the play calling privileges, because it's definitely not Matt Patricia. I don't understand this one. I really don't.
Hey, Jonathan.
So his job position, real quick, was senior advisor to the head coach. That's what his position was last year.
Senior advisor, senior citizen.
Yeah, pretty much.
Oh man,
Jonathan, what time is it over by you?
7:37.
Boy, it look about bright as hell in your room.
Oh yeah, bright as hell on the
Hey,
right now. The sun's still up.
It's daylight savings and the sun's still out.
What the
Sun
hell?
don't go down to 8.
Yeah, it's all black and stuff over here.
Yeah, it's dark here.
You don't see sunset until like 8:15.
Sensei, I'll turn it to you. What's your thought on Bill Belichick and kind of like they said, if Matt Patricia is the senior advisor to the head coach, that just he's like helping Bill get to his walker, like helping him go to the bathroom.
I feel like Bill Belichick is trolling all of us. I feel like for some reason this is just him being Bill Belichick. He always goes against the grain. He never really does anything that quote unquote makes sense to the masses. This is definitely a personal hire. He wanted somebody that knows him, that knows how to deal with him, that isn't going to expect him to treat them with some kind of respect, because that's not something that Bill Belichick does typically when it comes to his players or his coaching staff. So he did this on purpose. Like, this is definitely a troll job, just to get the media talking again, because that's what he does. I mean, as much as he tries to act like he hates the attention or doesn't really care for the attention, he likes the attention, because he does certain things like this just so that, the Patriots and himself can be in the conversation. So I feel like it's going to come back to bite them for sure, because you don't hire a defensive coordinator as an offensive coordinator. That's just asinine. But, that's the Patriot way, I guess. I mean, I don't know, I'm not mad. I think it's funny, honestly.
It's definitely unconventional. That's for damn sure.
Yeah. LDZ, what about you? If you're a Patriots fan, how do you feel right now hearing this? Because like Sensei said, maybe Bill's just trolling people. Like, and we've kind of seen him do it before. Bill's just like, the media tries to get something out of him. Bill's like, yeah, no, we just got to focus on the next game. Like, okay, Bill, give us an answer. Like,
you feel bamboozled a little bit, because, like I said, your choices are Matt Patricia or Joe Judge. So there's that.
Matt Nagy.
Yeah, nobody wants that either. So you have those options. And then it's not just the fans, I think, what I'm reading now are worried. There's players.
Yep.
There's players that are really concerned about Matt Patricia coming in and being the offensive, play caller and offensive coach. And if you have those issues, because these articles came out the end of May, so end of May, June, it's not going to look good September.
Period.
But yeah, it's not going to look good. So I feel like if I was a fan, like I don't know, I would just feel confused. I would have to let it see where it plays out. But like I said, we know where they've been down this road. We've seen what he's done. I get what Mike was saying, but basically they went and got him because Detroit didn't really have much. And so they're thinking, okay, he didn't have much and he had somewhat a little bit success there, but he was there with an actual quarterback. You have Mac Jones now. Not saying, Mac Jones is not a quarterback, but you still have to mold. Mac Jones is still in mold mode. And Matt Patricia, even I know he's not a QB coach, but I don't feel like he's going to be calling the plays that's going to help him along the way. But they needed a miracle. Like the Patriots need a running back, wide receivers. Like they needed.
I like Harris.
I like Harris, but he doesn't stay healthy enough. Like he doesn't,
Yeah.
And then they needed more than Harris. And if
They need OBJ.
Well, at this rate, they needed just one of us just to stay up there and get up there.
I'll do it.
I'm gonna say they need the 5'6" white guy from Walmart that runs like a 5'8". They could just run routes.
Yeah.
That's me.
Yeah, like they needed one, somebody. So,
I'm in
Say,
there.
yep,
Mike-
they needed Mike. Mike, just go try out. We'll find you the date when they had holding tryouts, and we'll send you up there.
You go there as a walk-on. Hey, we'll be right there cheering for you.
Hey, strong safety halfback in high school. It's been 4 years, so I'm a little out of it, but
We can make it work. I'm pretty sure what's going on with their wide
I
receiver
think
core.
it'll be solid. And I'm white, so I'll fit in with the wide receiver crew perfectly. Like it's just beautiful.
We'll be next Julian
Hey,
Edelman.
all I need is some steroids in my hand. You can call me Julian Edelman. So
Oh wow. Okay,
Yeah,
Mike.
So real quick, do y'all think? Well, real quick, yes or no? Do you think the Patriots make the playoffs next year? LDZ, I'll give it to you. Do you think they make the playoffs next year or no?
Because their division sucks, it's gonna come down to the last second, and I think they'll win it out that very last game.
Do you think they win the division, or you think they just get a wild card spot?
I think they'll win their division just because for one, it's Bill Belichick. For two, I don't have any faith in anybody else in that division.
Did you forget about the Buffalo Bills and Josh Allen?
I do, but Buffalo Bills, don't get me wrong, I love Buffalo, but Buffalo has just been choking. And I'm scared to see that they're not going to do. And I am a huge Allen fan. I love Josh Allen, but we're in a whole nother situation where I feel like we are with Kyler Murray. He's not improving. He's standing still. He really is. Like, don't get me wrong, I love him, but if he was improving the game, there's some games that he should have went down to the end. And got
he did go
and
down,
won.
and it was a
And
coin
won.
toss. LDZ, it was a
guy
coin
who
toss.
elevates everyone
A
around.
coin
him.
toss?
I felt
Really?
like he improved tremendously last season,
My boy dropped.
and he
40
lost.
points.
He
Yeah,
lost.
I'm
lost
out. No, I'm
due to
out.
a
I'm
coin
out.
toss.
What's up, man? I'm drinking on your show. What you gonna
He
do?
lost because his team lost the coin toss.
I understand his team lost the coin toss, and I'm not saying even that game. I'm just saying there's games. There's more than one game that just him and the team have lost.
Go.
And if you keep doing that, and like I said, you're not improving, I'm not going to keep picking you just so you can lose. I'm tired of losing picking you. Every time I pick the Buffalo Bills to do something, they do the complete opposite.
Well, that's how I feel about Gonzaga in March.
LDZ, have you ever seen the Vine or it may not even be the Vine, just the YouTube video of the Eagle fan? He's like, I'm tired of losing, dude. And he's putting on the gloves, he's putting on the helmet. He's like, I'm going out there.
Yeah.
Literally, that's how I feel with Buffalo.
That guy's a pedophile.
Oh yeah, he did.
wow,
EDP, that's his name.
But that's literally how I feel with Buffalo. Like I said, don't get me wrong. Don't beat me up, Mike.
Nah, I'm Rico.
What about you? Do the Patriots make the playoffs next year or no?
Who, me? You talking me?
Yep.
I think they could be a wild card for sure. I'm not sure if they could be like a serious playoff team. I don't know. Like I honestly, because there's just too many what ifs with the Patriots. Like there's too many questions on both sides of the ball. Then you got, Bill Belichick hiring Matt Patricia to be the offensive coordinator. Like it's just, I don't know, it's too much going on. I could definitely see them possibly, I'll say possibly being a wild card. I'll say possibly.
Okay. All right, Jonathan, I'll go to you, and then I'll save Mike. Because I know Mike
he's having a nervous breakdown. Yeah, he's having a nervous breakdown over there.
Look, the AFC got a lot of good teams. So no, I don't see the Patriots contending next season. I think they're going to be a laughing stock, to be quite honest.
Thank you, sir.
Buffalo's definitely going to run away with the division, I think, next year. And you got to remember this too, guys. You still got the Dolphins. I think the Dolphins are even slightly better than the New England Patriots. And every time they play them, they have their number and they beat them. So, that's my thought about it. That's how I feel about it. That's the route I'm taking.
The Dolphins did go 2-0 against them last year, so I mean it is possible.
Yep, it's possible. So I don't see the Patriots doing too much nothing, and that's not me being biased. I just don't see it happen.
Mike, what about you?
You don't even have a true offensive coordinator. You got a defensive coordinator running your offense.
What about you, Mike? I know you've been biting your nails. You ready?
First of all, Josh Allen is the best quarterback in the NFL. I don't care what anybody says.
That
boy is
I don't know about that. He's up there. He's definitely
it's cool. It's cool. Hey,
I feel like this is a Freddie fact. I feel like I'm being pranked twice today.
That's cool.
Freddie, yes.
Don't worry about it.
Mike, put the drink down. Mike, put the drink down.
There's always one guy who gets on the train first at every train stop. I might be the first, but y'all gonna come take a seat. We're gonna all ride this ride together. It's gonna be a great
thing. Did anyone say they didn't believe in Josh Allen?
I didn't say you didn't.
Yeah, I'm just letting you know. We didn't say we didn't believe in Josh Allen. I'm just tired of picking him.
It's already happening. It's solidified. It's over. We're winning the Super Bowl this year, and that's exactly what's happening. I don't care.
Who is winning? Are the Bears or Josh Allen?
Excuse me.
Wow.
You heard that. You heard it, Freddie. He said we.
Hey, I'm riding with Josh Allen.
I heard it.
I've made it clear. I said the Chicago Bears, Josh Allen. That's all I care about in this world.
Okay.
Honestly, if
I got your back, Freddie. I got your back, Freddie.
If I had kids and there was a second floor story fire, and Josh Allen was on the third floor and my kids were on the second floor, I would pass up my kids, grab Josh, and wave at him on the way down to make sure Josh was okay. But, Tony, to answer your question, sir, I would like to ask you a question myself.
Okay.
So, Matt Patricia is the offensive coordinator, correct, sir?
Yes, sir.
Now, please name 3 wide receivers, if you can, on the New England Patriots, or even 2.
N'Keal Harry, Nelson Aguilar, and who was the last guy? He was the speedster from San Francisco. N'Keal Harry. Oh, Jacoby Myers. Myers.
Perfect. Now, sir, can I ask you a question?
Sure.
Do you give a shit about a single one of those guys?
No.
Yeah, no, it's going to be bad. Is Mac Jones still out of shape?
No, actually, he's in shape.
No, he's in shape.
So now he's lost the only thing I liked about him. That's
but can he engineer that offense and can he make the throws? Is the question.
And how will New England fare now? Because this will be the first offensive coordinator they've been without, but they had Tom Brady for a little bit that Josh was the head coach of.
But
the Broncos. So now again, can Mac lead this offense like Jonathan said?
But
I want to see if he could gain a strong understanding.
Yeah.
And they can develop a strong connection. That's what I want to see.
I think, though, in all seriousness, I would love them to get OBJ. I think that's something where I feel like down the stretch it could definitely be useful. And it's one of those situations where he's got a ring now, he don't really care. And Freddie's Rams don't really need him that much. Now they have Allen Robinson. Good luck with that. But it comes down to this, though. I do think the Jets are going to be a lot better. And to Jonathan's point, he kind of hit on everything with Miami. It's all just really going to come down to what Tua can bring. But I think the Jets are going to be a lot better than people expect as well. I think you have 2 top 10 draft picks. Obviously, there's the potential of Debo coming in at any point if they really want to pull that trigger. I think Zach Wilson needs, not that he will, but he needs to be that next step kind of guy this year. We need to have conversations about Zach Wilson. Because, I mean, the excuses are gone. You took 2 offensive linemen. You have a great running back now. This kid's a stud. I forget his name, but the kid is an absolute stud, the new running back of the New York Jets. So I think
he is. I can't think of his name now either.
It just always blanks my mind. It's like Booker or something. I don't know. But it's definitely one of those conversations to where I think the Jets could sneak in as just a spoiler to the New England Patriots. I don't think they'll get in by a long shot, but they could definitely be a spoiler 2 games out of the year. But to answer your question, Tony, I think it's going to be god awful. And I think Pride is going to be a treat. Are
you talking about Michael Carter?
Yeah.
No.
No.
That's another one.
Or is it are you talking about the rookie that they?
Or are you talking about the rookie they just got this year?
Yeah. Michael Carter's buns, respectfully.
Is it Breece Hall?
Bryce Hall.
I believe so. Dog.
Yeah.
Okay. Dog. All right, and of course we'll welcome in Freddie. Freddie got schooled last week by a sensei. You know, she went back to the old bus driver's way. So Freddie, Freddie likes
to take him to school, man.
Come back for round 2.
Always.
Hi, Freddie.
Tony.
Hi, Freddie.
Who kept saying I agree with you, Freddie? I agree with you, Freddie. I'm just happy. I just had to come on. I'm just happy.
I don't remember that happening at all.
I agree with you twice. I agree with you twice.
I definitely did.
Yeah, okay. I'm just happy to see LBZ. I'm glad she's feeling better. I'm just glad to see you. But yeah, what's up, Mike? Hey, Mike. Hey, y'all. Like I've been saying, Mike is taking over Chicago. Y'all already know.
This been my city.
My brother Jonathan,
but
down there in Southern California, and Sensei, you know, she thinks she's a bus driver. I let her keep thinking that so she can have good confidence. The best looking beard on the network.
Best looking beard. Hold on. It's nice, but hold on.
I say it. I told Freddie because he's a big LeBron James fan. I said it's gonna be my goal for the next year. I'm gonna have a better beard. So
it don't take much because he's balding. So it's just
Jay McLovin works too hard.
Spray a little bit, you got it.
Jay McLovin works hard.
I'm just saying, LeBron's stressed. Lakers stressed him out. That's why his beard gone. He's stressed.
Relax.
That's a real talk. That's a stress beard. I know what that looks like.
He just got gray after the
Darvin Ham had his introduction speech today.
Yes, he did. But Freddie, real quick, what's your take on Matt Patricia being the new offensive coordinator for the Patriots, and do you have them making the playoffs next year?
You know, they had to do something because losing Josh McDaniels to the Raiders, you know, and this to me, Bill Belichick looking out for his guy Matt Patricia because he's been there before. Not going to say I don't think they're going to be that big of an impact. The offense in there. I believe that they're going to be mainly focused on the defensive end, and that's how they're going to try to go out and win ball games, have a strong running game, and depend on that defense. But I think Mike was alluding to it. It's really depend on Mac Jones. Are you ready to take that next step? But also have the New England Patriots put him in the right direction to take that next step by putting the weapons out there for him. And
Okay.
that's going to be a huge question mark. Um, and man, I'm gonna tell you, the AFC done got real tough. It used to be where it's like almost even, but the AFC, you got the
Josh Allen.
Chiefs, you got Denver, you got the Ravens, you got the Browns. Depending on Deshaun Watson situation, of course, you just have the Buffalo Bills, the Miami. If Tua get their situation straight, there's a lot of teams out there that's very that's very they got to win, a playoff game to make it to the playoffs. And it's going to be a huge question mark on the Patriots just on the offensive end. I'm going to say they're going to miss it next year.
Okay. All right. All right. So we'll move on to the last topic since we kind of coming towards the end here.
Oh no.
The Utah Jazz
Oh no.
searching for a new coach in Quinn Snyder since he is stepping down. Now, we saw this with Brad Stevens. He stepped out from the Celtics, moved into a front office position that apparently worked out extremely well for him because now they're in the finals. Let's see, Freddie, I'll start with you.
Oh,
Who do you think the Utah Jazz can replicate that same success, or do you think this will set them farther back because they have to search for a new coach?
I believe the Utah Jazz days of contending in the playoffs, being the second round team that they are, is about to be over. Because even after the news of him stepping down, Adrian Wojnarowski came right back and said, "Hey, Donovan Mitchell isn't too happy. He's not really feeling it. He don't know where his future is with that
That's
team.
racially
So they're
motivated
gonna have
right
to
there.
make a decision. They're gonna have to make a decision. Hey, Donovan Mitchell come out or he requests a trade, they're gonna have to the decision going to detail how far is he
Okay.
willing to go. Is he willing to miss games? Is he willing out like a James Harden, like a Anthony Davis, like a you know guys like that to force them way out? And Rudy Gobert, I think it's time for you to part ways with him. He is who we all know he is, a big guy that has no moves in the post. All he's really good is lobs and blocking shots, and he clogs the paint. So other than that, I think they're done.
Yeah.
I'm sad that I actually agree with Freddie. It's kind of scary.
Say, what do you think,
I'm
LD?
scared. I'm scared. I agree with Freddie. I agree with Freddie. Like that team was going to get dismantled anyways. So it was going to be, it, I think we weren't going to see them. I agree with Freddie. I don't think we were going to see them in the playoffs. It didn't matter if Quinn Snyder was there or not, because this team was going to get blown up. They were not going to be the same team anymore. We were not going to have Donovan Mitchell and Gobert there no more. Like that relationship has been fractured for so long. And Rudy is what, like you said, like what we know he is. Absolutely nothing. Like I feel like I have better, in the paint moves than he does. And like, dude, you're right there touching the rim. Like you should have like 15 moves. You shouldn't even have to. Like you should be able to push somebody off and just, but he can't even do that. Like at least Shaq had that. Like, let me push you, give me the ball, let me push you off, and then I can dunk or do whatever I need to do. He's not even doing that.
Hell yeah.
And then you're not even protecting your paint either when you're on your defense. So pick a struggle. You can't be both. You can't be a center and have both struggles of offensively and defensively.
Hell yeah.
There's going to be some team desperate. There's going to be some team desperate that was going to want him. And so
Who?
take him, trade him. There's going to be a desperate team. Trade him. I'm hearing that Dallas might be one of those desperate people that might want him. And it might work here. It might actually work because nobody plays defense in Dallas. So, it might actually work. It'd be an offensive team, but it's not that Utah days of, I would say, looks semi decent is over.
Mm-hmm.
Jonathan, what about you? Do you kind of feel the same way? Because I heard the same thing from like LDZ said that There's a lot of talks that he may go to Dallas and try to pair him up with Luka and see what happens. But again, I don't know if fit wise if it would work.
Look, Rudy Gobert is not the player who's going to complement someone else's game. Okay, now, he's going to give you a few blocks. He's going to be that guy inside the paint that protects the rim because that's all he can really do. He's a good rim protector, solid. But you're not going to get 20 points from this dude. So do you move him? Absolutely. You blow this up. You blow this roster up. You trade him, but I don't know who. LaDonna says Dallas, but I don't know what I don't know what direction you go in. I don't know what team would want him. I really
They don't have a true center here.
So I mean, hey, wherever
I love the Dallas pick.
I'm guessing there's a market for him in a city where there's not a true center because there's always some teams still looking for that solid rim protector. He could definitely be that solid rim protector, but don't expect him to give you any points. And I'm with LaDonna. I think his relationship with Donovan Mitchell was fractured. I don't think these guys were ever really on the same page. They just tolerated each other. They didn't really, get along. They were just teammates. They weren't buddies off the floor, if that makes sense, And to Quinn Snyder was a significant part of this team. So this team lost a brilliant mind. His departure honestly left me surprised. Left a lot of people surprised, really, because there was a lot of talks that they have been trying to woo him into signing an extension. And it never came to fruition. And guys, I want to throw out a stat here. He has 372 wins, which are the second most in Jazz history behind Jerry Sloan. So that tells you everything you need to know about this man, how brilliant of a mind he was. He definitely understands the game of basketball.
I watched him in college. I watched him coach in college.
And you know what? He won't be out of a job too long.
No.
He won't be out of a job too long. I think he take a year or two off and he'll be somewhere else coaching.
Yeah, so to give you also an idea, out of the 15 seasons he was there, 11 of them were winning seasons.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I watched him. He was at I watched him at Missouri. He was at Missouri.
Yeah.
And I watched him with that team. I remember the hair, and then I'll never forget. Like we used to joke around and say his hair would never move. Like when those days, but yeah, he's a great coach, and I don't think he's gonna. Like I say, I agree with you, Jonathan. He's not gonna be. This is what Alan said. He didn't want to be part of that rebuild, and right. I get it. That rebuild is like it takes some stress out of you, and he didn't want to be part of that. He was like, okay, I'm gonna take this money and I'm gonna go sit down somewhere.
Right.
Yeah.
And rethink my life. Like what I want to do.
Who's willing to go to Utah? Because I hear that players are not,
It's the same as the Blazers.
Right. They're not big on the city. There's really nothing there to offer. And a lot of these players don't want to go there in free agency. They want to go to big market cities. So that's another thing too. But the Jazz, they've had the talent. They just couldn't get over the hump.
Right. Like for me, I knew this was going down the second Joe Ingles tore his ACL because I felt like this was the last dance between Rudy and Donovan, regardless at the end of the year. And my guy Allen, he's talking about Rudy coming to the Bulls, but I think Donovan Mitchell is more realistic than anybody. He's 25 years old. He's got 4 years left on his deal, $33 million a year. It's a lot less expensive than Zach LaVine right now at 27, 28 years old. It's honestly, I feel like to me, it speeds up your rebuild a little bit more if a Kobe White and a Zach LaVine head to Utah because those are two great shooters, two great players. One solidified two-time All-Star, and Kobe's still a top 7 pick in the 2018 draft. So 2019 draft. It's definitely something where I feel like that could speed it up. With the Rudy situation, it's definitely going to be harder than I think. Donovan, Donovan's easy because and I know I was a little biased with that Bulls one, but I feel like even the Miami Heat, you could trade Duncan Robinson and Tyler Hero right now in a pick and get him on the Miami Heat. And Duncan Robinson and Tyler Hero aren't that bad for a Utah Jazz team. You have Rudy Gobert, and that solves your defense problem. I don't think Rudy goes anywhere, and it's a main part of it's because the way that contract is financially set up, the bird rights and everything that goes into that, basically when you sign a super max like that, if it's $45 million a year, you're really not going over the luxury tax or anything else because you're the team that signed him to it. So really, it's kind of like if you were paying Tony $35 million a year and giving him a $10 million bonus on the side. But if you trade him to a different team, then you have to give him that full 45 because that other team doesn't have the rights to him. So the way you have to look at it is the same thing with Russell Westbrook, same thing with John Wall. That's why those guys don't get moved because it's not like the Rockets and the other individual teams that don't have to pay that 35 mil to the cap, that extra 10. If I trade for Rudy Gobert right now, the Bulls are going to be in cap hell. And honestly, he's going to get ran out of Chicago faster
But
than
Donovan is too. I just looked at their contracts. You got Rudy Gobert is 38 next year. Donovan Mitchell is 30. And then Mike Conley is 22.
I'll take 30. 30 is not bad for Donovan Mitchell at 25 years old. I feel like that's solid for me. But Rudy in 2 years goes up to 40 something. And that's
Yeah.
where, to me, Rudy's done. Rudy's peaked at where Rudy's supposed to be. Rudy coughed on a microphone and shut down the whole league. And that was your Defensive Player of the Year award. And that's as far as that's ever going to ever go ever again. Unless there's another, pandemic and he starts doing stuff with monkeypox. But it's definitely something to where I see Mike Conley getting moved. I could see him going back to Memphis. I think that's definitely in the realm of possibility for someone like Dylan Brooks or something like that. But I definitely don't think Rudy gets moved, and I think they just have to bite that for the next couple of years, and that's on them. I never saw the hype in Rudy Gobert. I never saw him as a two-way player. Like I always tell Freddie, especially with guys like Patrick Beverley, if all I could talk about is your defense, that doesn't mean you're good at defense. It just means there's nothing else to talk about. It's just it's literally just saying the nicest thing you can about a guy, and he's just not that guy anymore.
Yeah, and Freddie, I just want to point out that is going to be my contract negotiation. I expect 35 million and 10 million on the side. So just so we track and we all aware, before we go into negotiations, that's my asking price.
I want to say one more thing.
Trust me, I know you are going to be top class.
I wanted to say one more thing.
I think it's funny that you cut out after you said that. See, bro,
he still got
talking
that
about
AOL.
Contracts and the guy freezes. That's ridiculous.
He still got that. He still got the AOL internet.
Hey, I'm just saying that.
Oh yeah, you just yeah.
But
hey,
I'm saying is, Mike,
we're getting paid, bro. That's what that means.
Anyway, Jonathan, what were you about to say, man?
No, I just wanted to say one more thing about Utah. Utah obviously hasn't been attractive since Karl Malone and John Stockton, and they just had a hard time luring talent to that city.
Kids.
The thing is, too, I don't know why Donovan Mitchell didn't say anything, and he doesn't owe the fans anything, but usually a star player, a player who's the superstar of the team, usually he comes out and backs his coach for resigning or for whatever reason, and we didn't really hear Donovan Mitchell say anything about the resignation. That makes me believe that there might have been, and I'm not making any accusations here. I'm just saying, who knows if they had a great relationship as well, because Donovan Mitchell didn't say much of anything. He was silent through the whole thing. So that makes me wonder if there was something else going on behind the scenes that we didn't know about.
I think it's overly frustration that goes into that. I think a big part of it is that the front office is trying to feed Rudy down everybody's throat. And obviously the statistics are out. I hear a lot of people say that Donovan Mitchell's a bad passer or a ball hog. And here's the reality of the conversation. The kid passes the ball. The kid's got great vision. And the kid is a true guard, a two-way guard at that. The difference is why he's not passing the ball to Rudy. I want everybody to say it with me too. Rudy sucks. Don't pass the ball to Rudy. That's why. So I feel like, when Mike gets fired because of that fact of, I feel like, at least in my opinion, is you're stuck with Rudy. You can't get rid of Rudy. Mike's frustrated about it because it's going to force a rebuild where you probably still have to deal with Rudy. So Mike's out. If I'm Donovan, I don't say a word because, one, you don't want to disrespect Rudy Gobert while you're still on that team because he's a class act kid. He's not going to go out there and say anything disrespectful. That's just his nature. And at some point, it could get to that where, Joel Embiid at some time was saying, no matter what, Ben Simmons is my brother. And then out of nowhere, it was like, yeah, that kid's dog water. Like, that's
Like, what? How
right.
did it happen so quickly? That
Right.
escalated quick as shit.
And that's exactly what I think is going to happen eventually here. And I don't think Donovan's going to be as vocal about it because he is a great Class A guy. But I definitely do think it could get ugly kind of fast because Rudy got a hot mouth too at times. So I definitely think, depending on how Rudy reacts to this, you could see a different version of Donovan Mitchell.
Yeah, he's a very emotional guy. This is a guy who cried because he was left off the All-Star team, remember?
Yeah, 100%.
He was omitted from the All-Star roster, and he broke down in tears.
Cry about it, Rudy. Keep crying because you're not coming.
Sensei, since we haven't heard much from you on it, and we'll have you finish us off. What's your thought on Quinn Snyder now, no longer being the coach of the Utah Jazz?
Well, I'm not surprised, honestly, because I think everybody kind of alluded to it. They haven't really been successful the way that we expected them to be with having all the talent that they have, especially with Donovan Mitchell and Rudy Gobert. I think that somebody has to go as far as Donovan Mitchell and Rudy Gobert, and I think it has to be if for the Jazz to move forward and be a contending team, it would have to be Rudy, but what would make more sense is probably Donovan because I don't think he wants to be in Utah anymore. I don't think he's wanted to be in Utah for a long time. Now, where exactly he could afford to go, that's going to remain to be seen, being that he does have a lot of years and money left on his contract. But you gotta break that team up. It's pretty much run its course. They've been as successful as they're probably going to be. And like Jonathan said, Dan Snyder will be just fine. He's not going to be out of a job very long because he is a really good coach. I just don't think he was the right coach for that situation.
Okay. Alrighty, y'all. Anybody else have any last things you want to throw out there about anything about any sport, anything like that?
I have a question. I don't know if you guys talked about it, but about the Clapper possibly taking over where Drew Brees was on is it Monday night? No, Sunday night. Sunday night football. And I'm just laughing because to me, he's so we went from one monotone quarterback to another monotone quarterback. Like, and only difference is one claps and one doesn't. I just don't think it's a good fit. Like, I don't see what you're doing. I don't know what's going on here. I don't know what happened between the Drew Brees situation, but like I said, to me, he was very boring. There are just some people that just won't be good announcers. There's not going to be good on TV.
TV on mute.
Dang, Jonathan, it just got really dark in your house.
Well, yeah, the sun is starting to set.
Okay.
Yeah. All in like 2 seconds.
I was gonna say it. Somebody on, I think it was London Fletcher. No, it was LeVar Arrington. LeVar Arrington made a comment about Drew Brees leaving NBC, but Drew isn't, because of some of the stuff that Drew has said in the past. Drew's not as beloved or as popular as he once was. So now it's like, nobody kind of cares, Drew. Like
nobody.
You're one of these. You can't really make up your mind. And yes, you were a part of NBC. And I feel like he was solid, but again, he was one of those, you don't have any personality. Like, there's no difference between you and the next generic white guy that just happens to show up on NBC. It's like there's no difference. No,
you'll have personality, Mike. Like, Drew Brees was, like I said, monotone. Like, that was the best.
Oh, yeah.
The best thing I could say. He was just kind of like, "Hey guys, yeah, it's we're going into the game," and I was like, "Okay, so that's it. That's
it." I think the only thing he got excited about was the Tampa Bay versus New Orleans, where New Orleans shut them out like 9-0. That was it. That was like the only time I saw him get excited.
Yeah.
It's like, you're crazy, dude. But this has been a blast, y'all. This has been a great second night. What better way to bring the nostalgia of the old team back for a night? Hopefully we'll be able to do it again. So I had a blast. I hope everybody else did. Thank you all for everybody that showed up. We greatly appreciate it. Please like, share, and subscribe to the show. If you like what you see, please let us know. Please tell your friends, your mom, your grandmama, your grandpa, everybody like that. Please tell them. It just continues to help us grow. Please check out all the wonderful shows that these individuals hold. LDZ's in Facebook jail because she likes to stir the pot a little bit. Not her fault.
Not at all.
Mike saw it, but Mike saw it. I literally sent it to Mike and Pride. Literally, like I showed it to him immediately. It's always Mike and Pride. Like it's always Mike is always involved. 5.
Okay.
But then I'll be in St. Louis. I'll be in St. Louis this weekend. So I'm like,
hell yeah.
Okay.
Hell yeah.
Well,
yeah.
we'll be able to catch LDZ. If you ever want to catch LDZ, you send her a message. You send any of us a message. We'll let you know. Of course, Mike, he is covering the WNBA and he's killing it. He's also helping cover a baseball show, if I remember. Is that right, Mike?
I'll be covering everything on
if it's Chicago, Mike is there.
It's really getting dark in here now.
Except soccer. I don't cover soccer. No.
Yeah, but Mike is killing
Soccer
it in Chicago.
is fun, Mike.
It is fun. I just don't get it.
Of course, you have Sensei. Sensei is also killing it with WNBA. You also can catch her on the Sports Senseis on Tuesdays. Am I right, Sensei?
Yes, sir.
Okay, on Tuesdays at what time?
Tuesdays at 3 p.m. West Coast time, 5 p.m. Central Time, and that will be 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Awesome. And then, of course, she also does Beyond the Rim, and that's on Wednesdays. Am I right?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
With Mike, my wonderful co-host Mike.
With Mike, and then, of course, you can catch Jonathan. He is the sports judge on Speaking with Judgment. You can catch that on Thursday nights at 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Pacific, and 9 p.m. Central Time. And, of course, you can catch me here Monday through Friday along with Sensei, 10 p.m. Eastern, Monday through Friday. You can also catch me on Jawing and Balling on Wednesday nights at 9 p.m. Eastern. No, 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central, and 5 p.m. Pacific time. But thank y'all for everything. We appreciate it, and we will see y'all next week. Everybody have a fantastic night. Well, not next week. We'll see you tomorrow. Never mind. I don't know what I'm saying. I'm used to old stuff.
I would say, yeah, I'll see you tomorrow.
Yeah, we will see y'all tomorrow.
All right.
Whole sports all plays. Yeah. Whole sports all plays. Whole sports all plays. 365, we making up plays. You talking the game, get you to the days. We're out in the court, the dime in the lane. Variety, topics, living the same. All presentation, sports information. Hitting the airways, taking the nation. All sport, all plays, like working your faces. Grace at the